this episode of Attack on Titan. This episode escalated from 0 to 100 very, very quickly in a short amount of time. Like, the whole first half of this episode was very calm, kind of peaceful in a way. You know, we had Ymir and Astoria having their first actual argument as a married couple. It was very nice to see. Like, it was just very slow building, kind of like how the previous episodes kind of were. But then once the commercial break hit and we were in that second half of this episode, it went from 0 to 100 like that. So much happened. Like, I was trying to process everything that was going on in that second half of this episode. We had Titans, going on Reiner. We had Erwin lose an arm, and then just all the carnage of people getting injured and eaten. So much was happening. There's just so much just to digest in that second half of this episode. But what I love about the ending, this cliffhanger for this episode, comes full circle, kind of with the story of Attack on Titan, to where the smiling Titan is finally making a return. We see this figure in the smoke just coming towards Eren and Mikasa. This character, this Titan, we haven't seen since episode 1 of Attack on Titan. And just to see Eren's face as he's looking off into the smoke and seeing the smiling Titan slowly walking towards them. Oh man, next episode is going to be so awesome to see. But just to dive into the contents of this episode, I'll talk about the first half very shortly. There wasn't really all that much happening in the first half of this episode. We have the scouts basically on horseback chasing Reiner, Bertolt holding Eren, but then also Ymir, coughing up Astoria. And then, we just have this huge argument going back and forth between Ymir and Astoria. And, we're coming to find out why Ymir is, trying to go after Astoria, because she's trying to save her own ass in this situation. Sure, she cares about Astoria in her own way, but she also is afraid of dying. She's afraid of death, and actually bringing Astoria with her outside of the walls to this unknown society that we really don't know really anything about, to where Reiner and Bertolt and Ymir are from. This is like her one-way ticket, her golden ticket to trying to save her life. And just watching just how Astoria doesn't really care about her life and is just willing just to throw her life away in order to save Ymir. It goes to show that she really does care about Ymir, but it just also goes to show that Astoria is just like so negligent of her own life that she's willing just to pass that along to someone else. And I'm really hoping that with Astoria, we get some growth with her character, and she comes to, I guess, love her life and just love herself and just like become her own person, which I really hope actually does happen. But then, the scouts are coming in. First half of this episode ends with Erwin, he's commanding everyone to basically have all these Titans just chase after them, and they're just running towards Reiner. And you just see this horde of Titans right behind Erwin and the rest of the scouting and military police on their horses. I was like, yo, this next half of this episode is going to be awesome. And boy, was I right. The second half of this episode is just pure carnage, pure just adrenaline rush, and just watching all of our characters that we've come to know and grow up within the Survey Corps just, demonstrating, and just watching how fearless they are, just going right into battle. I was like, damn, this episode is just on point. But then just watching as just randomly, it took me a second just to realize it, when Erwin is commanding all of the troops to just go after, Reiner, and just, go headfirst into Titans that are just on top of him. And then suddenly, when everyone's following him, he just gets bitten by this abnormal Titan, and he's just telling all of his scouts just to keep on advancing as he's being just torn away from the rest of the group. And I was like, yo, Erwin might die in this episode, but that turns out not to be the case, because he comes in later like a boss. Without an arm, he ends up cutting it off and ends up saving Eren from the clutches of Reiner and Bertolt. And I was like, yo, Erwin must be feeling a lot of pain right now, but he deserves a hand, no pun intended at all, because he just went in this episode. I have a lot of respect for Commander Erwin, and just to see where his character is going to go after this. Will he end up dying in the next episode? And if he doesn't end up dying, how is he going to adjust with only having one arm now? Besides that, though, Mikasa in this episode is just hell-bent on trying to rescue Eren. Just watching her, just go in on all of these Titans, watching her just giving the look. You know what panel and what scene I'm talking about, when Reiner has his hands basically surrounding Bertolt and Eren, and you can just see Mikasa staring in, just looking at Bertolt like, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you. That scene had me laughing, just how stupid hilarious it was. But there was also another scene that had me dying laughing as well. It's when the military police were just watching as the scouts were going in, and then this random military police just gets picked up by a Titan, and you just see the horse kind of just look at the screen. And I immediately was like, oh my God, this is probably the funniest scene I have ever seen in Attack on Titan. Just watching that military police guy just get devoured by this Titan and the horse just going, looking at the screen, I was like, oh my God, this scene is absolutely gold. I'll put a picture of it right here for you guys. Like, my God, that scene was absolutely hilarious. But like, I tried taking notes for this episode, but everything just happened so quickly, so fast. Just watching like Jean, Connie, Sasha, and also Armin and Mikasa just like talking and being on top of Reiner as they're trying to persuade Bertolt to come out and just hand over Eren. I'm just like, damn, like this is a very emotional scene. And you really start to feel, I guess, for Bertolt a little bit because they were kids when they first came over and did this monstrosity thing to all of humanity within the walls. And just to see him break down and basically yell at them saying like, we didn't have a choice in the matter of what we were supposed to do. We were just told to do this. We were forced to do this and we had to. Yes, they regret for doing it, but they're just going to have to move forward with the plan because if no one's going to put blood on their hands, who else will? So they do have the resolve and they do feel bad, but it's just this desire and push from whatever society they come from is forcing them to do this. It outweighs, you know, the guilt that they feel for all of their comrades and all of the friends that they basically grew up for the past 5 years in military training, which like you just got to feel so bad for Bertolt and Reiner, but also for the rest of the crew because they're losing 2 friends that they have grown up for so long, and then it just feels so bad for the whole group in general. But then there's that scene with Armin when he has that ridiculous, scary face, almost maniacal in a way looking, as he's telling Bertolt how they've captured Annie, they're torturing her, and he basically uses the past information that he's kind of learned from observing Bertolt, and uses that to his advantage to basically get Bertolt to drop his guard. And this is when Erwin actually ended up coming in and rescuing Eren. But oh my God, there's like not really anything else I could really talk about for this episode because there was just so much action-packed stuff. It happened so quickly, so abruptly, like Erwin losing his hand, Mikasa getting squeezed by a Titan. There's just so much that happened at the ending parts of this episode. Reiner just flipping and throwing Titans like nobody's business. Him being like a linebacker just charging through all the Titans. There's just so much that happened in the last half of this episode. It was just so action-packed, and I am really looking forward just to hearing your guys' thoughts on this episode because there's just so much that happened. But that ending with Mikasa and Eren on the ground, Mikasa being injured, and just seeing the smiling Titan walking towards them, you know that the next episode is going to be awesome. And just seeing what's going to be happening with Eren and Mikasa and how they're going to escape the clutches of the female Titan that has basically haunted Eren's life for the past 5 years is going to be very interesting to see. But let me know your guys' thoughts on this overall episode. If you guys are fans of Attack on Titan, please subscribe to my channel. I would love to talk with you guys. I love this series so much, and just getting to hear your guys' thoughts, theories, and speculations. Of course, if you guys have not read the manga, of course, but I'm just really looking forward to the season finale next week, and it's just like, oh my God, I am so hyped for that, and I'm really hoping too that this is not the end of the anime, and we do end up getting a season 3, a continuation of this series, because we don't know anything about the basement. We don't really know anything right now about this society that is going on outside of the walls. And we have not seen the Beast Titan in a few episodes. So there's still a lot of questions still left up in the air. And if they do not end up returning with another season, there's always the manga to explore. So thank you guys for watching my review. I really look forward to giving you guys my review on episode 12, episode 37, the season finale of Attack on Titan next week. But until then, I'll talk with you guys later. All right, guys, see you later.